Yes, ready. Sorry about that. Okay, welcome everyone. It is Wednesday, November 1st already, shortly after 4:15 p.m. And with that, I will call the City of Merrill Park and Recreation Commission meeting to order. Agenda item number 1, approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 11th, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Approve the claims. I think we'll just, it looks like we just have just over a page. Any questions on both sides of the claims as submitted?
I just had one with the Baumgart thing. Did you notice the change that you took away the dumpsters?
Very much. Yeah, it saved us probably about between $10,000 and $12,000. At minimum $10,000 for sure.
Cool.
Any other questions on the claims? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I'll motion to approve the claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as submitted. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. Any public comment? There is none.
Thanks.
Dan, if you'd be kind enough to, as part of agenda item number 4, update us on the 2024 City of Merrill budget.
Okay, we had another city budget meeting last week. It was on operations, which was the third one that we've had so far. We had capital first, capital TIF, and then we had one the week after that, and then one last week. Yep, Tuesday. Fairly melodramatic, to be honest with you. The operations portion was uneventful, which I guess is good. Everything that the budget that we presented and approved here went through without any questions or issues or changes. So operations, at least as of now, will be as presented for the November 14th budget hearing. Capital also remained the same with the same 4 items that were pulled off of our list from our previous meeting. So Otts Park boat ramp to go along with the ARPA county docks that they're going to provide us. Riverside dock, Nicholas Bridge, and tables and chairs for Smith Center Agra. So unless something goofy happens, I think that's what's going to move forward to the final budget public hearing and approval on November 14th. There was talk last week, a couple of council members I think wanted to add another meeting for either this week or next week, and hopefully that's not the case. And we just slide into our regularly scheduled meetings for approval.
Any of the commission members have any questions for Dan about that? You may have had something to add there?
Yeah, just to add as a, I know Alderman White's is not here, and I'd just like to add, it doesn't sound like we're going to end up having another budget meeting at all. I think what's been said is said, and there's not really going to be that much change. We're pretty happy at this point in time. At least I'm happy, at least with the increase in tax that we're going to end up having, which I think is roughly around 2.5% from what Kathy had said. So I think for the most part, aldermen are happy with where we're at, and we're going to move forward with the budget come November 14th. That's the feeling I get at least.
Okay.
Make it happen.
And so I had one question. And so if I'm remembering right, in theory, we get to November 14th and things move forward the goal at that meeting on November 14th is council approves the 2024 budget, operating budget and capital expenses, and then it's, after that meeting, it's done.
Yep. So I don't want to, usually what they end up doing is a committee of the whole meeting shortly beforehand. Hopefully we don't have that, but that usually gives them one last crack at it. Then there's the public hearing where anybody in the public can come up and voice their opinion, good, bad, or otherwise, about the upcoming budget. And then it is presented, read, and voted upon as a resolution, a number of resolutions, as a tax upon all the citizens of the city of Merrill, is how it goes through.
Okay.
So what if we would be lucky and the county board would award us the ARPA funds for the Nicholas Bridge? Then what happens to the money in the budget? Okay.
No, in all honesty, if we would, then I would still try to keep that, just because of the most likely cost of what it is going to end up being. We can, so it's, the capital is borrowed, so if we do get the ARPA money and it is sufficient to do that project, then we could bring that request back here and see if we could reallocate
Okay.
that money onto something else.
That would be good, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they could,
there certainly is that long list of potential capital expenditures that we're kind of almost losing ground on, so.
oh yeah, yep. We had half of the things that we requested this year. I think half or less last year,
Mhm.
et cetera. Yeah, it continues to grow.
Have you heard any word on those county ARPA stuff, or?
I'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
I did submit them.
Okay.
Yeah, so stay tuned in the director's report. Very good question and timely too. So, any other questions about the budget at this point? Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you. Agenda item number 5, discuss the Riverbend Trail extension from the wastewater treatment plant to Bluebird Lane. And there is an accompanying aerial photo here as well. So
Yep.
let us know when we can start biking from one end of town to the other, Dan.
Yeah.
All on the Riverbend Trail.
You can right now, actually. The Riverbend Trail is complete, at least from the original goal of connecting the Pine Ridge Ave Walmart-ish area all the way out to Council Grounds. I think this newest expansion is leg number 1 of heading towards Wausau. So a large group of people a few weeks ago, myself and Rod included, and a few other city people, along with some River District Development Foundation folks from our construction committee, met down there and kind of wandered through the woods from the wastewater treatment plant, from the east side of the treatment plant, along the river in the city-owned space all the way to Bluebird, which is on Big Eddy. It's a dirt road. Knowing that city property, it's easy for us to move that direction without having to work on easements or other property disputes and things like that. So the first time when we went out there, it was just to kind of see what we can do, can't do, should do, shouldn't do, where it's wet, where it's not, where it's feasible, where it's not. And then last week, earlier in the week, Rod and I and a person from the DNR walked it one more time to try and flag it with some finality, so that volunteers this last weekend could do some brushing, just to give people a decent idea on where we could go when we start to expand. So the map that you see is a pretty accurate description of where this new route is going to go, and once it gets to around the corner beyond the city property to Markowitz's, then it becomes town of Pine River. So then that's, I guess, officially where we're probably going to have to tap out from a city standpoint. It'll still be linear park up to that point. So it'll be, we're waiting to get some clarity on that property, and quite a few of those areas, it's likely to be determined as floodplain, but there's other areas where it'll be flood fringe, and hopefully most of the area, once you get beyond probably 100 yards beyond the treatment plant there, the woods that starts at the treatment plant would then just be upland and out of the floodplain, because it comes back up and it's pretty similar to the railroad grade, but where the ties are. So waiting on some of that information, and then I know the Riverbend Trail folks have some funding, and you guys approved some funding for the request for ARPA. I think that would be a good utilization of that. I think we talked about it last time, so with whatever money they have and we have, I don't know if this would be something that we'd have to discuss. We can't pave. I don't believe that we can pave if it's in the floodplain, and if it's in the flood fringe, I don't know if it's wise to pave, but even just a limestone or a crushed granite path through there, it would still be very sufficient. You know, one of my favorite paths is the Bearskin up in Minocqua, and that's gravel all the way to Tomahawk, but there's still thousands of people a week that use it. So like I said, it's a good start, and as funding becomes available, it's nice to be ready to continue to add on to the fantastic community amenity that we all know as Riverbend Trail. Then it's on to Wausau from there.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan on that update?
Yeah, I guess there's that little creek that goes through there. I guess what would be the plan for that? Would it be just some stepping stones, maybe?
No, we would probably have to put either a little pedestrian bridge or an arced boardwalk over that, because it is continuous flow.
Yeah.
That is a watershed that is fed from the Church Mutual-ish area. That's also the holding pond that you see when you go down Thielman Street by those condos there, just that'd be to the downhill side of Zastro's. But that creek meanders through that whole area, so it does run even when it's dry. So Rod, or city engineer Akey, and I, and the same guy from DNR walked it mid to late spring, shortly after we had all that flooding. Shortly after that had receded enough to where we could get in there with muck boots and stuff, and that little creek was ripping through there yet. So it's something that and we did that on purpose just to see how it looks when it's angry.
Mm-hmm.
So it would probably be, I think it would be best to use a bridge like we just put in a couple of years ago at Stang Park, the custom manufacturing bridge that has the flow-through pans underneath it. You don't have to do any real site work besides some gravel, but that would be a good spot for something like that.
Okay. I guess just another random question. There's that fish hatchery, or like the fishery remnants of that old one. I guess is there any plan on preserving that, or I guess putting a designated sign?
Yeah, that's a perfect spot for an interpretive sign or a panel. There really isn't much we can do. The water regulations now are a lot different than what they used to be for backing up streams, and providing the DNR's theory on it would be they would prefer it to be open, an open mouth the way it is now. If there, as an estuary, if there is any fish spawning occurring, especially when you get closer to the Wisconsin, that would allow that easier than closing it off like the hatchery that they used to have.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Any other questions for Dan? I had one. So is, at this point, from a commission standpoint, Park and Rec Commission, we've done what we can do to assist the Riverbend Trail, Friends of the Riverbend Trail and Riverbend Foundation, that it's, from here on out, it's them getting funding, any assistance we can get with that, and then that section will be completed. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, as a city park and rec department, we would have the ability to oversee the portion of the trail that is within the city limits. We do have some, and this is something that we're going to have to tackle with city attorney and see how that would work. It's going to take more cooperation than just us, even if we are allowed to have it as an adopted linear park from Wausau to Tomahawk. We don't have anywhere near the capabilities to maintain, what would that be, 30 and 20?
60 miles.
Yeah,
50
between
miles.
50 and 60 miles of trail. It would be something that we would have to make sure that we have some cooperation with the townships and Lincoln County, or adopt a trail groups, something like that, because it is, for as great of an amenity as it is, and will continue to be, it is going to take a lot of hands to keep it maintained for that distance. And at that point, if and when we do, it would be state trail designation too, so I think we would probably, well, we would qualify for state funding, but it's just a matter of how much.
But once this is done, like you said, with what's in the city, we'll be maintaining that linear trail or linear park trail as a Park and Rec Commission, but there's really not any, we've kind of worked pretty closely to get it to this point. Now we've arrived, so to speak, at the opposite end of the city. That's
Pretty much, yeah,
yeah. So just continue our maintenance ongoing
yeah,
issue. Very good.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you, Dan.
I guess just one other thing I thought of. There's that, the path goes along Sturdivant Street there. It's a pretty rough road at points. I guess I'm wondering if, as a commission, can we make a recommendation to the city council or street department to prioritize that or something?
I know that River Street has, and there's a Sturdivant might even be on that, but I know that that's on their to-do list. There's a few of those east-west streets in that vicinity. If memory serves me correctly, some of those streets also still have the late 1800s lead pipe and other stuff
Okay.
down in the ground. So usually when they start to do projects like that, it's road, water, sewer.
Right.
But I think maybe next year river for sure is. But
When I was trying to think back a few years, well, maybe more than a few, but the section of trail there just to the west of Weinbrenner, they certainly, I think the city engineer was very involved in that. They certainly did a nice job when they redid that section there, from there to what is one street west of Prospect. But that section in there, when it's running up right on the edge of the street, they,
yeah, that's Stang Street. I
yeah,
think.
they were really good with that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I bet this is on their radar.
Right.
It is. It's one of those two where it all depends on the petitions that they get for road construction, and then they go by age of and condition of utilities. And with the way that everyone's budgets have been constricted to it, they do look at vehicle counts on roads, and that's a low
Oh, yeah. No.
travel. So but if a road's deteriorating to a point where it's almost impassable,
Yeah.
it's not something that they'll overlook.
I understand. I guess I was just wondering if it would help if we, made a recommendation or something. But it's just, if we're going to be marketing the trail as a, thing to come to Merrill and say Culvers to Council Grounds, it's a pretty bad section of it right there that it doesn't look good if you're marketing something and it's not necessarily the highest quality.
Yeah. Good point.
But yeah, I guess just wondering if maybe something, if we could encourage that, or if a recommendation would help move that along in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll put some feelers out. I can talk to our city engineer once and see what the best way to do that would be.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Agenda item number 6, monthly reports. Thank you, as always, Dan, for your well-written, informative report. Seems like fall has been good to the Park and Rec Department so far. The typical fall stuff, and
So
anything
far.
you would like to highlight for us? I think
Um,
this might be the point where you were going to talk also about the status of our request to the county.
Yes, yep. So, well, does anybody have any questions first? One at a time. All right. Hearing none, yeah, we've got already a couple of weeks in on our ice. Knock on wood, it's been going pretty good so far. The tree planting, we are just about done. I think we're going to end up finishing that just in time. I think I put in the report too. We got some more trees. We had some funding that Kathy was able to get for us last year for this year that we'll try and take advantage of. So we got pretty ambitious with 180 different trees and shrubs and other things like that, which is good. We'll continue to do that as long as we continue to get additional funding. The ARPA stuff, I know after our last meeting when we approved it, that next morning I talked to Renee at the county and had a long conversation on she wanted just me to summarize the discussion and each one of the individual things, and then she was very helpful in they don't really have a form that they send you. She just said, well, this is what we're looking for, one-page format, what you're looking to do, why you're looking to do it, how it's going to impact the community and visitors and things like that, and a couple other forms of justification. So I was able to use that conversation information and get everything submitted last week. It was early last week by the time I got it done. That was straddled right in the middle of tree planting, tree marking, diggers hotline, house or homeowner notification stuff. So it is in and done. I did talk to Renee yesterday or Monday, I can't remember. But next Thursday I'm going to go over and meet with her and Dean from the county and some other person, I think within their land services office or something like that, but to discuss the projects, and then they will move them forward from there. So hopefully, I don't know if we'll have a decision by the December meeting or not, but I know she liked every one of the submissions that we had. It was fairly obvious. I think that they being the county really liked the Map It Lincoln County, Map It Vilas County idea that we pitched. So I've got the feeling that we'll get a few out of there for sure. They were pretty happy with the request. So bless you. Time will tell, but we have our hat in the ring, so to speak. Now it's up to them. It's their funding to do with as they see fit. So hopefully, I did finally have a chance to talk to the actual people, the company that did the Map It Vilas County. I heard back from them yesterday. I reached out to Vilas County, who had a different person in place, who had to find somebody that knew somebody that figured out how this came about. They told me that it was actually the Vilas County Chamber out of Eagle River, so I talked to that person who put me in touch with another person and another person who then figured out that this was the company that did it for us, and then I'll put you in touch with Susan, her name is, from this company. So she finally got back to me yesterday. So she had a few questions, actually quite a few questions, some that I couldn't answer, technical questions, some ArcGIS metadata something files. So I passed that stuff along to IT questions who are smarter than me when it comes to working that stuff. So we should have a pretty decent idea, at least narrowing a price down to, but I think the price that we had asked for, I think at least we'll cover that. If we have to adjust it, we'll adjust it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7 already. Set a date for the next meeting. The first Wednesday in December is?
I think it's December 6th.
All right. Is that confirmed?
Yes.
Okay, then we will meet Wednesday, December 6th, 4:15 PM, this very location. Looks like that will work. Public comment? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion?
I'll
Yep.
second that.
We have a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.